Friday the 13th, Part 5, where we continued the ongoing epic journey of Tommy Jarvis from the last film, played by Corey Feldman. In this, we find him to be a little bit older and unfortunately institutionalized because of the events of the last film. Unfortunately for him, he can't escape his past, and it has caught up with him, as inmates around him and other people around town are starting to drop dead in a very brutal series of events that remarkably look similar to his past. Friday the 13th Part 5 is one of those movies that's generally hated by a lot of the fans of the series. And there's a pretty good reason for that. It was a very difficult movie for me to get through just because of just the lack of interest that there is for the characters themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of interesting characters in this movie. There's the stuttering guy, the techno-punk chick person. They all have a lot of interesting and unique qualities about them. However, we don't get enough time with them to really just push them slightly over the edge. Again, I'm not expecting any great, amazing characters out of this franchise, although we do get a couple. I just kind of would have liked something a little bit more than what we got. And it's really sad to say, because this movie has the makings of a great film. Think about it for a moment. You're continuing the story of not only just Jason, but Tommy. You're having a franchise now with two reoccurring characters. It's kind of interesting. And as we'll soon see in Part 6, it definitely pays off. However, in Part 5, well, let's just say I'm surprised that he actually made it to Part 6. Tommy himself in this is played by an absolutely god-awful actor. Definitely the worst in the film. He's just bland, empty, doesn't know how to emote. And hell, you can tell that the writers and the directors don't really know what to do with him, so he disappears halfway through the movie. He doesn't show up until the very end, because he has to. And then they give us that wonderful little surprise saying that maybe he's going to be the next Jason. You know why all of this happens? It's because it falls into that wonderful slasher genre trap of more bodies equals more tension, which isn't the case. Take, for example, Part 2, 3, and 4. They were all 10 and 12 body count. Some were reasonable, but still decently fun enough to see some creative deaths and to have a bit of tension. This movie, however, pumps it up to 21. 22 maybe if you counted some of the other deaths in the film. It's crazy how quickly it doubles. Not just slightly inches it up a little bit, but doubles the body count from the previous film. What you're left with is just a whole lot of scenes where people you don't really care about or know just get slaughtered off. Yeah, it's a little bit fun to watch how creative they can get with it, but they certainly don't go as far as you'd hope. I mean, with 21 of them, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of them that just get the friggin' meat cleaver or machete to the face. It just annoys me, given how good the series can be, and how quickly it can just snap and become this horrible mess. And then you go the title, A New Beginning. A New Beginning with the same killer. Okay, it's not the same killer. Big twist. There's a Scooby-Doo mystery at the end where it turns out it's not actually Jason killing everybody. He really is dead. We'll get to that in a second. It's actually Roy, the paramedic, whose son was killed earlier in the movie by another patient at the asylum. That's kind of an interesting concept, but what do you think in a movie? You've got two camps here. Either you go New Beginning and you take Roy and make him into something interesting, or you just stick with what you got, which is Jason. Why go straight down the middle? You're only going to confuse and upset fans of this franchise. I don't understand what they were thinking with this movie. It just feels so slapped together and has no care for what the franchise did. You can tell that the studio clearly wasn't happy with this either, because they very, very quickly snapped it back to what I would consider the best Friday the 13th film, and then followed it up with another really amazing Friday the 13th film. So I really would like to get onto that one before I fall asleep. How am I doing? Well, I'm a little tired. I certainly was very close to nodding off in that last film. But that very well could be just how much of a piece of a shit that is. But hey, we're halfway through this. And you know what? Knowing what's coming up, I'm interested to see the little differences that the franchise is about to go through from Part 6 on. I'll let you in on it when we get to that review. It's coming up next. See you there.